Texas just posted one of its highest primary turnouts that we've ever seen, with 4.5 million ballots being cast. That is 1 in every 4 voters that are registered going out to vote. That is something that is not seen in primary voting, especially with the early voting turnout being so high, specifically on the Democratic side. And the results that we saw was James Tallarico winning over Jasmine Crockett in the Democratic primary. And James was promoting more of a unity mindset, a love mindset, compared to Jasmine, who was promoting more of a combative mindset of fighting against the GOP and Donald Trump. And on the other side of the ballot, the GOP primary is going to a runoff in May between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. But things are kind of reversed on that side, because John Cornyn, who has been in the Senate seat in Texas for a long time now, has usually promoted unity. He's even bashed Trump. However, Ken Paxton is more combative. He is more of a MAGA personality. He doesn't like the Democratic Party. So while the Democratic side showed that unity is still a top priority for Democrats, the Republicans have kind of showed that they want a more combative senator. And what we can get from the primary and what a 2022 Pew Research study found is that the best way to indicate what the midterms will be from the primary is voter turnout. And for Democrats, they won voter turnout in the primary, 2.3 million to 2.2 million. Now, this is unheard of in Texas, especially in the last couple of decades, because Texas is a deep red state. But Democrat turnout was higher than Republican. So the GOP has a problem and a bad early indicator of what the midterms could be. But what makes this even worse is the turnout was not isolated in cities, but rural and suburban areas saw huge turnout for the Democratic Party as well, averaging around 25% turnout. And in Jefferson County in Texas, 30%. This is a large increase for the Democratic Party turnout. And this huge turnout is a direct indication of backlash for President Trump. And we see this in Texas, but also North Carolina, which is another highly contested senator seat coming up in the midterms, where the Democratic Party had a turnout of plus 200,000 ballots cast. And if we look at Texas a little more deeply, we see that the ballots that were cast, 40 to 50% of them were first-time midterm primary voters. Of these new voters in Texas, about 90% of them asked for a Democratic primary ballot. And so what does Texas forecast about the 2026 midterms? 1, Democrats are going to have a high turnout rate. 2, suburban and rural areas will see an increased Democratic turnout rate. 2 things that are absolutely devastating to the GOP, because as we've seen, and the Pew Research suggests, that the midterms are not decided on people switching from one side to the other. It's decided on energy and turnout. And that is on the Democratic side of the ballot right now, in a sole rebuke to Trump and his administration. And so the GOP has to be scared right now, because if Texas can get a higher turnout for the Democratic Party compared to the GOP in a primary vote, just imagine what it's going to look like once November rolls around. It's not going to look good.